Well, have a night, Israel. Have a night, IDF. The hell with Simone Biles. She could take a seat. Okay. Simone Biles won, I believe, 1 gold. Is that what it was last night? 1 gold. The Israel Defense Forces won at least 2 golds in long distance missile shooting, taking out two of the biggest scumbags on planet Earth. And we couldn't be happier to see this. I was sitting there reading with a big smile about the death of one of the Hezbollah leaders in Beirut, one of the architects of the murder of 12 children the other day in the Golan Heights. And they took him out early last evening, I believe, in a Beirut neighborhood. He's gone now. Let me get his name. Faoud Shakur. He's a Hezbollah leader. And he was responsible, apparently, he was one of the men responsible for the Marine base bombing in 1983, you may recall, killing 241 Marines, 241 Americans. And he's been alive and kicking for 40 years. It took the Israelis to take him out. The U.S. had a bounty on his head of $5 million, but he was walking around free for 40 years. And our intelligence services could do nothing or did nothing about it. I need someone to help me with that. I need someone to explain that to me, why we didn't kill this scumbag 40 years ago. I mean, it's not like he was hiding out in a bunker for 40 years. He was hanging out, man. He was hanging out in Beirut in his apartment when Israel took him out for killing 12 kids. He killed 241 Marines, and we did nothing. He kills 12 kids. Israel takes him out. That was a wonderful moment. And then a short time later, a Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh, was taken out as well. This one's even better. I got to say, I enjoyed this one. He was in Tehran for the inauguration of the new president. Remember, the last president went down in a helicopter crash? Well, they were celebrating the new president. And in the morning, he was at an event in Tehran chanting, "Death to America, death to Israel." Then he went back to his guest suite. You know, they put him in a nice apartment in Tehran. He was going to stay for a few days, celebrate the regime in Tehran. And wouldn't you know, after he got tucked in bed, a missile came through his bedroom window, taking him out. Reuters called him the moderate face of Hamas. And get ready, because the mainstream media is going to go into full austere religious scholar mode and say he was one of the moderates. Yeah, one of the moderates who orchestrated and cheered the October 7th massacre of 1,200 innocent civilians, including Americans. Well, Israel took care of it for us. I still don't understand why we are not involved here. They're holding Americans. They killed Americans. And we're just sitting back and wondering, where's the president? Does he even know? Do we even have a president at this point? Kamala Harris held a rally where she went full black dialect or Southern dialect, black Southern dialect, you know, in full Hillary mode. We'll get to her. It was hilarious. But are we even involved here? Apparently, the Israelis didn't tell us. They didn't tell Anthony Blinken or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris because they don't trust them. They just did it. They went full Michael Corleone and settled maybe not all the scores, but some big ones. And the situation is about to escalate naturally, even though the media, the Democrats will say, you know, we need calm here. We need to take some time. Israel's not messing around. They are not messing around. They have every right to do this. This is a wonderful thing. This is a glorious moment. We should all celebrate. Two scumbags, two Islamic terrorists were taken off the map and sent to their 72 virgins last night. And I'm just going to assume the flags at Harvard and MIT and Columbia are at half staff today. I'm going to assume Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley are grieving because two of their guys were taken off the map last night. I'll be curious to see how they react to this because it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I don't know what Joe Biden's going to say, what Kamala Harris is going to say. It's going to be tough for them because they need to, walk the tightrope here. They need to win Michigan. They need to keep their pro-Hamas base from revolting here. So we're going to see. It'll be interesting. Joe Biden, if he were still president, would be making a statement by now. He'd be coming out before the cameras, calling for whatever, talking about these two wonderful attacks on enemies of Israel and enemies of the U.S. But we don't have a president. We have 97 days until the election. We have almost 6 months to the inauguration of our next president. And we just have an empty Oval Office. We have a guy who is unfit to serve, as we all know. He couldn't run for re-election. He couldn't face charges in the classified documents case because he's a well-meaning elderly gentleman with a poor memory. That guy is right now, I assume, being briefed about the revolution in Venezuela, the assassination, actually it's not an assassination, the killing of these two Islamic terrorists. And what's he going to do? What's he going to say? Is he going to tell Kamala to handle it? I mean, she probably wants to be the face of this administration and get out there and make a statement. But they must be wondering right now in Israel and in Caracas and in Ukraine, who's in charge? Do they even have a president at this point? Do we even have a guy who is like prepared to make the big decisions? I don't think so. I think we're just sailing more or less for the next 98 days, the next 6 months, essentially. But we'll see. It was a wonderful night. It was a glorious. I love revenge in any form. But think of this. They killed 12 little children playing soccer in the Golan Heights, 12 Druze kids. And immediately, all the usual moderates were calling for calm, and we don't want to escalate. We don't want a wider war. And they said, screw that. We have to protect our people. And this scumbag was hiding out in Beirut thinking, I'll be okay. I've been doing okay for 40 years after killing 241 Americans. And they blew him up, just said, sorry, we will find you. And they did. And a short time later, they found Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. They're chanting death to America, death to Israel. And they took him out as they lay in his bed and now he's going to be mourned in Tehran by the Iranians because he was a good ally, He was one of them. I wonder if they could do this. Shoot a missile through the bedroom of this guy who's just there as a guest for a couple nights. Can't they do the same to the Ayatollah? Can't they do the same to all the Iranian mullahs who are funding the attacks on Israel and the U.S.? Can't they use that same technology to just take out everybody? I'd love to see it. It'll be great. And we'll be watching to see if the far left in this country voices their opposition. Rashida Tlaib is not happy today. That's one of her guys. Ayanna Pressley and Liz Warren and AOC, they're not going to come out with a full-throated endorsement of this action by the Israelis because that's who they are. They are pro-Hamas. They are anti-Semites, and they're going to have a tough time with this one. And we will be here for it. We will be watching. All right, we got much to get to. Kamala in Atlanta. Oh my God. There has never been anybody faker, never been a phonier, never, ever. I mean, we've seen some phonies in politics. We've seen Liz Warren and other people who are just phony, just as fake and phony as friggin' Starburst. This woman is the fakest. We'll get to her, but I got to get to the Secret Service yesterday because I watched this hearing and it was infuriating. Should I get? Let me just get into this now, Ironhead. We'll get to Kamala. We'll get to Kamala because that was hilarious. That was some funny stuff. The Secret Service acting director Ronald Rowe went before the Senate, and maybe you were too busy and didn't watch this. Maybe you just saw some highlights. It was infuriating. on so many levels. It was just, this guy is a hack. He's a bureaucrat. He's a close ally of Kim Cheadle. He was appointed by Alejandro Mayorkas. He's a lifelong Democrat who used to work for Patrick Leahy. He, like Cheadle, hates Trump. That's a factor here. It really is. He got upset, irate, when Ted Cruz asked, how many more resources do you use to protect Joe Biden than Donald Trump? And he got offended. Like, Joe Biden's the commander in chief. He's the president. Well, whose life is more in danger than Donald Trump? The answer to that is nobody. Nobody on planet Earth. Nobody is more in danger than Donald Trump. And yet they skimped. They refused the Trump requests for more resources. But perhaps the most infuriating thing, and we got all the sound. It's incredible. The most infuriating thing to me is he blames the local cops. A presidential candidate, a former president, a future president, was shot in the head at a rally. A rooftop was left unprotected 130 yards away. I don't know, just on that alone. What's your opinion? What's your perception? That would be the Secret Service's job, correct? Protect the protectee. In this case, protect Donald Trump. And this hack, this absolute weasel, wants you to think it was some local butler PA cop who was working a detail. He should have been there to protect the president. You know what? Even if the local cop was supposed to be on the roof and didn't get on the roof, that's on you. You should have made sure someone was on the roof. That's on the Secret Service. There's no passing the buck here. But this weasel blamed the local cops because a presidential candidate, a former president, a future president, got shot in the head, came within a quarter of an inch of being killed. And this guy doesn't want to take responsibility. That was just one of the really infuriating moments in this hearing. I got a long list of them, man. Truly infuriating what this guy had to say. And a reminder, I mentioned this the other day. The Secret Service has 8,000 employees. 8,000. It has a $5 billion budget. And he didn't have the manpower to protect Donald Trump. As I said before, how about you pull off some of the people from, I don't know, Jimmy Carter or Ashley Biden or Hunter Biden or Joe Biden. I mean, nobody's life is more in danger. No, there's no one more hated. No one that more people want to kill than Donald Trump. They know that. Hell, the Iranians want to kill him. Lots of crazy people would like to take a shot at Donald Trump, and one of them did. And they didn't have the resources. As Dan Bongino reported, and this weasel denied, I believe Bongino, they said they wouldn't send counter sniper people to a rally if it wasn't within driving distance of the capital, of D.C. So, sorry, Donald, you're on your own. No counter snipers, too far. Don't want to take a plane, don't want to drive overnight. You know, it costs too much. Their budget's $5 billion. You tell me, 8,000 people, and I realize some of them are probably secretaries or analysts, but you can't spare the maximum amount of people to protect Donald Trump, whose life has been threatened over and over again. But, and by the way, he not only didn't take responsibility, he took offense. Any tough question, he started yelling back at the senators. He started getting all indignant. He's a bureaucrat, and he's protecting his ass, and he's protecting the ass of the other bureaucrats. Consider this. It's been 18 days since Donald Trump was shot and almost killed. 18 days. Nobody's been fired. Nobody's been suspended. Nobody's been named. There was a great point made by Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, now senator. He said when he was governor, they had lots of shootings and mass shootings. They had the Pulse nightclub. They had the Stoneman Douglas school shooting. And he said, we did briefings every day, literally every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. This is the first time. Well, Cheadle went before the media and couldn't take it, so she quit. Didn't get fired. She quit. This is the first time we've heard from this guy, the acting director. And he couldn't believe he was being asked these tough questions. A man lost his life. Corey Compatore was murdered. 2 others were seriously wounded, and Trump was shot in the ear. And he thinks, I'm just going to take my time here. You don't expect me to promptly give you answers. Again, they have an unlimited budget. They have all kinds of people. We should have answers, all the answers at this point. They know whose fault it is. They know who left the roof unguarded. They know which Secret Service agent made the decision not to yank Trump off the stage when they knew there was a suspicious character on the roof. That was for at least 20 minutes. And they let Trump take the stage. Who let Trump take the stage? We're not going to tell you. No, you're just going to have to wait to find out. Yeah, let's listen to this with Ted Cruz, who's so good at these. I just look forward to Cruz's turn when he gets his 5 minutes to ask anybody any questions. But he was great. And this absolute hack felt like, how dare you ask me questions? All I did was get somebody murdered. All I did was get Donald Trump shot in the head. You expect answers? I'm the acting director of the Secret Service. This guy is repulsive. Let's listen.
And who makes the decision to deny those requests? Did you make that decision?
Which requests? Are you talking about the ones that were in the Washington Post?
Yes.
The process, sir, is that a detail will make a request for either staffing, technical assets, that is handled between the field office and the detail. It goes up to a logistics office between our
Okay, so there's a bureaucracy. Is there a decision maker?
It's not a bureaucracy, Senator.
Give me the person that's a decision maker. Is there one?
Senator, it's a conversation. It's not just an absolute yay or nay.
So let me tell you what I believe. I believe that the Secret Service leadership made a political decision to deny these requests. And I think the Biden administration has been suffused with partisan politics. Did the same person who denied the request for additional security to President Trump also repeatedly deny the request for security to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose father was murdered by an assassin and whose uncle was murdered by an assassin? Did the same person make that decision?
Senator, what I will tell you is that Secret Service agents are not political.
Okay, you're not answering my question. But you know what? Leadership appointed by the president, leadership appointed by the president is political. I have a simple question, yes or no. Did the same person deny the Trump request that also denied the RFK request? That's a yes or no question.
Senator, that is not a yes or no question.
Yes, it is.
There's a process for a candidate nominee to receive protection.
Is there? Does the buck stop anywhere? Does the buck stop anywhere?
Bipartisan process that the Hill
It's a bicameral, bipartisan process. What
for a candidate?
You are not a Congress. You don't have a cameral.
Mr. Kennedy submitted a request that was referred over to the CPAC.
Okay, you're refusing to answer the question. Let me ask, because the failures on that day were catastrophic. By the way, is it true that on the day of the Butler event that Secret Service transferred agent for President Trump to the First Lady?
No, sir, that's not true.
That's been widely reported.
It's not true. There was one airport agent that actually went on the manpower request for the Trump detail. They handled the arrival at the airport.
What was the relative size of the Trump detail compared to the detail that is assigned to the President or the First Lady?
Senator, the former president travels with a full shift, just like the president.
What's so the exact same size? Is that your testimony that President Trump had the same size detail that President Biden has?
On the day of in Butler, the agents surrounding him, it is the same number of agents surrounding the president today. There is a difference between a sitting president who also not only...
Hold on, you're using president in a way that is not clear. Is it your testimony that in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump had the same number of agents protecting him that Joe Biden has at a comparable event?
I'm telling you the shift, the close protection shift surrounding. That's
yes
what you asked me, Senator, and I'm trying to answer it.
You are not answering it. Is it the same number of agents or not?
Senator, there is a difference between the sitting president of the United States.
Then what's the difference?
The difference?
2x, 3x, 5x,
National
10x?
Command Authority to launch a nuclear strike, sir.
I'm not
there are other
asking
assets.
how many
that
more
travel with the
agents?
president that
Sir,
the former president
sir,
will
you are
not get.
refusing to
but
answer
the number
straight.
of Secret Service
Sir,
agents
stop interrupting.
protecting him.
Stop interrupting me.
Stop interrupting me.
Refusing to answer clear and direct questions. I am asking the relative difference in the number of agents between those assigned to Donald Trump and those assigned to Joe Biden. I'm not asking why you assign more to Joe Biden. I'm asking, is the difference, is it 2x? Is it 3x? Is it 5x? Is it 10x?
Senator, I will get you that number so you can see it with your own eyes.
Liar. You know that number. You know that number. You know that answer. He gave no answers. He's such a weasel, such a snake, a deep state snake. That's what this guy is, a career hack. Protecting his ass, protecting the Secret Service, the system. That's what he's protecting. The swamp. He answered nothing. Nothing. I'm telling you. We're going to get to the most infuriating comment he made in the whole damn day. How he explains the fact that a 20-year-old punk got on a roof, took a shot at Donald Trump and hit him in the ear and almost killed him. And how he blamed the local cops. He blamed whatever, anyone but him, anyone but his people. In fact, he started talking about it. The counter sniper was a good friend of his. And I'm going, that's the problem. You're here protecting your good friends. You're not giving answers to the public. You're not important. What's important is the president was almost assassinated, and it could happen again. We'll get to that. There's a Secret Service whistleblower who is predicting another attempt on Donald Trump's life before the election. In fact, he says in the next 30 days. I'm telling you, if you went into this hearing, I think it was about 3 hours, you'll get some clarity. You won't be tempted by these conspiracy theories. You won't be wondering if this whole thing was a setup, if it was intentional. I'm sorry. By the end of it, they did nothing to dispel those theories, those rumors. You walked away even more convinced that maybe there's something really dark going on here. We'll get to the rest from this weasel. And Kamala Harris going full Hillary in Atlanta. Yes, last night. It was hilarious. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
So the 20-year-old punk, Thomas Crooks, surveyed the area with a drone. And you're asking, why didn't the Secret Service do that? Why didn't they use a drone to survey the area from above? They didn't have the bandwidth. That was his answer. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. So this loser who worked at a nursing home, who was, I believe, has an associate's degree, this kid could use his drone. The Secret Service, with their $5 billion budget, could not. That's one of the answers from this deep state weasel. But that wasn't all. Yeah, that wasn't all. They also, there's just so much here. Let's get to his explanation of what went wrong. Why? What kind of failure was it, Mr. Rowe? You weasel. Tell us. Go ahead.
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody
And
to
I will
hold them
tell you,
accountable.
Senator, I will tell you, Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment
Sweating
and put
like crazy.
people
I can't believe
unfairly
that you
persecuted.
are unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly,
We've got people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
Unfairly persecuted. A guy died. A good American, a patriot. Corey Competore, the firefighter, family man, had his head blown off. And this guy says, I will not rush to judgment. And one more thing from him that I just can't stomach is this idea that everybody works for the Secret Service is a patriot and a hero and the finest people I've ever known. They hide behind this. You see it sometimes when a firefighter or a cop or a service member, and they say, "Oh, but they're Secret Service agents, they're FBI agents, they're beyond reproach, they're great patriots." Well, somebody allowed Trump to get shot in the head, and nobody has been fired. Nobody has been suspended. Nobody has been named. Not even named. Yes, this is the guy. He should have secured that. They pass the buck. They deflect the blame. They protect their own asses. But that wasn't the most infuriating part. Do you have the part about the failure of imagination? Oh my God. Okay, we know Donald Trump, right? We know he's despised. We know people. Hell, we saw people when he survived were really disappointed. Lots of people on the left want him dead. Lots of people around the world want him dead. They still want him dead. His life is still in danger. I don't remember in my lifetime anybody who had more people who want him dead, who would like to take a shot at him, who would like to kill him, who would like to just eliminate him. So obviously, if you're the Secret Service, you have a job to do. You have to protect a lot of people. But nobody is more important than Trump because nobody's in more danger than Trump. Nobody's more despised than Trump. So that should be priority number one. Joe Biden, no one wants to kill him. No one wants to shoot Joe Biden. That's ludicrous. I mean, of course you have to protect him, but he barely goes out in public. Donald Trump does big rallies when there are buildings with roofs. So you have one job above all others, if you're the Secret Service, is secure the roof, secure the perimeter, protect the president. Let's listen to how he describes what happened on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
I think this was a failure of imagination, a failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees.
A failure of imagination. Now, Greg Kelly did a great job breaking this down last night on Newsmax. That's exactly what the 9/11 Commission said after the attacks on the Twin Towers. And then it made sense because no one had ever heard of terrorists hijacking planes, flying them into buildings. Now, they attacked those buildings before with truck bombs in the basement, but nobody expected them to hijack 4 planes and use them in a suicide mission to take down the towers. So when you say failure of imagination, you say, we never imagined that. This clown just said they never imagined that someone might want to bring a rifle to a Trump rally and take a shot at the 45th president. Right there and then, he should have been fired. Right there and then, he should have quit if he had any dignity, any pride. You never imagined that someone would take a shot at Donald Trump? What the hell? I assume you have a long list of threats, things you've seen online, things you've picked up from overseas, things intelligence agencies have shared with you. There's thousands of people who want to take out Donald Trump. But this hack, this bureaucrat, this deep state swamp rat says we never imagined that people want to do harm to our protectees. What? He actually said that under oath in front of Congress. Unbelievable. Just incredible. And then to top it all off, in case you didn't have enough doubts about these political operatives, and by the way, we know he hates Trump. He was a loyal assistant to Kim Cheadle, who hates Trump. Susan Crabtree, who writes for Real Clear Politics, has done an amazing job on this story. Her sources tell her these people hate Trump. So of course they're going to deny Trump extra resources. Of course they don't care if somebody happens to climb up on the roof and, they don't send any agents up there because it's sloped. What's the worst that can happen? They take out our mortal enemy and make it easier for our side to retain the White House. The FBI comes out in perhaps the most transparent plant we've ever seen. It says, on social media, Thomas Crooks espoused anti-immigrant and anti-Semitic views. The CEO of Gab, who's already come out and said, Crooks posted on Gab anti-Trump, pro-Biden views. So they refute that with some mysterious posts. We don't know where they were, but the FBI says they were anti-immigrant and pro-Trump. The FBI is not to be trusted. Sitting right next to this weasel is another weasel from the FBI who is there, again, to protect the swamp, protect their asses. These people are, and again, after 3 hours, you have more questions. After 3 hours, you have no answers, except you know that the Secret Service, with Cheadle out, is still being run by a political hack. This guy, who's been there for like 20 years, working for Democrats the whole time, and he's still working for Democrats. All right, let's do do we have the Hawley exchange before we move on? Because Hawley was great, Cruz was great, Rand Paul, even the Democrats, by the way, this was nonpartisan. They were going right at him, asking some pretty good questions, asking him, why didn't you go up and question him when you saw him with a rangefinder, trying to gauge how far away he was from his target? And he said, well, we don't consider rangefinders suspicious items. Really? Some scumbag with the hair, some creepy looking guy by himself with a backpack is scoping out how far he is from the president. And you don't think that that's suspicious activity? Again, you have walk away with this from this with much less confidence in our agencies, in our law enforcement personnel, in the FBI, in the Secret Service. You walk away thinking these guys aren't virtuous. These guys aren't. Their heart's not in the right place. Put it that way. All right. Anything? Did we play the Josh Hawley exchange?
Yeah.
And we got Ted Cruz. I mean, they were all. I mean, I could do this all day. It was good. It was fiery. This guy was fighting back and answering nothing. And today we have more questions. Are you more convinced than ever that it was an inside job, Ironhead?
Yeah. I will say though, I liked his fight a lot more than Cheadle.
True, she was a little meek, but he's so arrogant. I mean, honest to God, again, if this were a local thing, the local cops would be facing questions every day. They'd be forced to face questions. This guy hasn't said anything for 17 days. He hasn't gone before the media. He'll never go before the media. He'll leak things because that's what they do. But here's from this was broken by, as I mentioned, Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics. Check this out in case you didn't have enough suspicion about this whole outfit, the Secret Service. And by the way, Trump's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania. I think he'll be safe. I'm pretty sure they don't want to go through this again, but they have to protect him. They just have to. A Secret Service counter sniper warned in an email there would be another assassination attempt, citing the agency's inability to protect leaders after a shooter wounded Donald Trump, 2 of his supporters, and killed another at a rally. Quote, we all should expect another assassination attempt to happen before November, the counter sniper wrote in an email to Real Clear Politics. This agency needs to change. If not now, when? The next assassination attempt in 30 days. The counter sniper says he's going to continue. I mean, the whistleblower. He's a counter sniper and a whistleblower. They probably already know who he is and they'll ruin his life. But he emailed the Secret Service Uniform Division Monday night saying the operators assigned to Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, quote, did their jobs, quote, with their hands tied. And the Secret Service supervisors, quote, knew better. Quote, the foot soldiers working made the best of a bad situation that resulted in a civilian death and a near miss of the protectee. And our technician shooting and killing the suspect. Our responsibility, our mission is not about protecting an empty White House located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's about preventing and stopping another JFK-style assassination in whatever city that may be. Sadly, we have fallen short for years. He said he will not stop speaking out until 5, quote, high-level supervisors, parentheses, one down, referring to Kimberly Cheadle, are fired or removed from their current positions. The Secret Service quickly deleted the email, according to Real Clear Politics. So this guy is promising to continue to spill the beans on the Secret Service until that weasel, Ronald Rowe, and 4 others, quit or are fired. So this is getting interesting, to say the least. And they better come up with some answers. Someone has to get fired. Someone cost Corey Compatore his life and almost got Trump killed, and nobody has paid a price. That can't happen. All right. We got to get to Kamala with Megan Thee Stallion, Ironhead's favorite, in Atlanta last night. And we have perhaps, by the way, they said they can't get into all of Thomas Crook's messages, his encrypted messages. The Secret Service, the FBI, the federal government can't crack the code of a 20-year-old nursing home worker. What? I'm telling you, I used to have faith in FBI and Secret Service. It's all gone. These people are incompetent. They're corrupt. They're liars. They're weasels. I have no faith, no trust. That's what they've done to themselves. They have brought this on themselves. All right. We'll get to Kamala and more, but first.
Excuse me.
All right, perhaps you haven't heard. The most liberal member of the Senate, when she was in the Senate, the worst vice president who had the lowest approval rating in history, about a month ago, the worst politician, the phoniest, most vapid, the most belligerent, who abuses her staff, whose views are so far out the mainstream. She's to the left of Bernie Sanders, and she is. I've made a list of her positions. We don't have time to go through the whole thing now, but she is just an extreme left-wing San Francisco lunatic. There is nothing she has in common with your average American. Nothing. Not one viewpoint. Not one is in sync with your average American. She's a socialist who hates this country, wants to fundamentally change this country into Venezuela. That's what she wants. And hopefully the Trump campaign will succeed in conveying that to the public. But the media, they love her. They didn't love her a month ago. They would have been thrilled if she stepped down a month ago. But now they love her because she's their only hope. And they're going to gaslight the hell out of you. She has no accomplishments. Not one. They can't. I've seen men on the street interviews. Can you name one accomplishment? No. What do you like about her? Nothing. They have nothing. She's the least accomplished federal politician we've ever seen. She's done nothing in her career. She got the job, as we know, because she checked the boxes. Joe Biden said he was going to pick a woman of color, and he did. That's it. She bombed miserably in 2019 when she ran for president, didn't make it to Iowa, was polling at 1 or 2%. The voters hate her, but the media loves her. So you're going to see the most dishonest propaganda campaign for the next 97 days. And it pretty much started last night. They were fawning over this performance in Atlanta. But listen to the way she adapts to her audience. Go ahead.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
Did she say 2024? 2024. You all did it in 20, and now you're going to do it in 2024. That is Hillary Clinton right there. Only, I want to be fair to Hillary. She is just like Hillary, but Hillary, if Hillary weren't so smart, she's Hillary, but dumber, faker, more vapid, more phony. And Hillary won primaries. Hillary got votes. This woman has never won a primary. In this election cycle, never got a vote. And now she's neck and neck with Donald Trump. Now there's a real possibility she will be president. Never going to vote, never won a primary. But Donald Trump's the threat to democracy. All right, here's what we're going to do, Ironhead. We're going to do every day. We will highlight one of her insane, far left, fringe views that no decent American could agree with. I mean, we have to do our best to expose this lunatic and, again, fight against this effort by the mainstream media who are going to lie to you every day and tell you how wonderful she is. She's not. She's awful. Do you think, I don't even know your position on this, Ironhead. Do you think inmates who decide one day they're transgender, should the taxpayers pay for sex change surgery for murderers? Some guy who decides one day, you know what, I think I'm a girl. Should they pay to get the popo lopped off, taxpayers?
Yeah, absolutely, because they're, upstanding citizens.
Right. Yeah, it's only right. Listen to this absolute extremist on whether taxpayers should pay for surgeries for transgender inmates. Go ahead.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right, a client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General,
Right.
of the Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
It's all on video. It's all on video. Every one of her insane views is on video, and hopefully Trump and his PACs can turn it around, make it into ads, because you won't see that on This Week with whatever, Margaret Brennan or George Stephanopoulos or Jonathan Karl. You won't see that from Jake Tapper. They are in full cover-up mode. We just lived through the biggest cover-up in American political history when we heard for months and months that Joe Biden was tip-top, sharp as a tack, ready to go. And it all blew up on them at the debate. And she was the biggest liar of them all every day, saying Joe Biden is great. I can barely keep up with him. Could be sharper. She lied every day. Well, now we're on to cover-up number 2. Their goal in the mainstream media is to cover her history with a pillow until it stops breathing. They do not want you to know what kind of lunatic she is, what kind of extremist she is. That's going to play in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Ohio. That's going to play in Georgia. See that right there? That's my list of her insane extremist viewpoints right there. It's a full page, and I'm going to keep adding to it. I got the transgender surgeries on there. It's just one. I mean, I forgot this one yesterday. She wants Zarniev to vote. She wants people on death row to have the right to vote. Convicted murderers, convicted terrorists to vote. She has said it out loud on camera. How's that play in middle America? How's that play in Boston? Zarniev, who murdered, who wounded like 400 people, blew their legs off. That guy, she wants to make sure he gets a vote. How nuts do you have to be? How insane do you have to have that view? That murderers, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, I mean, I don't think he's a citizen, but she'd like to make him a citizen. You name it. She wants to ban red meat. How's that play in middle America? Anyway, we'll get to one of these a day, maybe 2 or 3 of these a day. There's so many because we only have 97 days to the election. But the other thing that I'm enjoying is watching the media lose their minds over J.D. Vance. As I told you the day he was picked, hell, before that, They got nothing on J.D. Vance. For one thing, they all loved him when Hillbilly Elegy came out. The media fawned over him. There's sound of Joy Reid fawning over him, which is amazing. But they all loved the book, the movie, the story, and they know he's not weird. They know he's smart and articulate and accomplished. They know he's a father and a husband and a son and a good family man. They know he's a Marine and a lawyer who worked his way up from nothing. From nothing. He's what every other politician pretends to be. A self-made man who earned everything he's got in his life. And they hate him for it. So they're latching on to something he said 3 years ago about cat ladies. Cat ladies. Well, let's compare quickly before we get to this. He said cat ladies. Okay, maybe he regrets it, maybe he doesn't. Single cat ladies. Kamala Harris said the rioters in Minneapolis who burned a police station to the ground said they won't stop and they shouldn't stop. They shouldn't stop. The vice president, now the presidential nominee, the candidate, said rioters who were burning cities down, killing people, wounding cops, just ruining neighborhoods, they shouldn't stop. Again, that's worse than anything Trump said on January 6th. That's worse than anything any politician has ever said. Rioters who are setting fires and destroying neighborhoods shouldn't stop. That's what she said. Vance said cat ladies, and he's the weirdo. But it's wonderful watching them lose their ever-loving minds because they got nothing on him. They're going to make stuff up. They're going to lie. They're going to pretend he's weird when he's like the least weird guy in Washington. Everybody at MSNBC is insane. We know that. We've seen it. They're all liars. They're all lunatics. They're just consumed with Trump derangement, from Joe Scarborough to Al Sharpton to Joy Reid. But maybe the craziest is this Molly Jong-Fast contributor with the glasses. Just look at her. She is the cat lady that J.D. Vance is referring to. But listen to her analyze J.D. Vance's stand, his view on family. J.D. wants people to have families. He wants them to have kids. He thinks it's good for society. It's good for this country if people have families, if people have kids. And Molly Jong-Fast, she took offense to J.D. Vance's take on this. Watch.
Stats are there. More and more Americans choosing not to have kids, which again emphasizes why J.D. Vance's comments about childless Americans, childless cat ladies, could be so politically damaging.
Well, so what's interesting is this natalism that comes from an authoritarian playbook, right? That there need to be more white children, right? That's the idea that there's, this is about great replacement theory, racism, right? This is what this is. So don't misunderstand it for him wanting more children. He wants a certain kind of, racist thing.
He wants white children. Okay, can you quickly get a picture of J.D. Vance and his kids, Ironhead? Because I see a little flaw in this analysis from this creepy cat lady. And what kind of look is that? What color is her hair? What is she trying to go for there? God, she looks like one of those white dudes for Trump. White dudes for Harris. But J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, is the daughter of Indian immigrants. She is Indian. His kids are not white. There they are. There's two of the three. He has three now. They're not white. So the guy who has three brown kids only wants white kids, according to your MSNBC analyst. These people can't take it. They can't take it. He's a great candidate. And you know how you know he's a great candidate? Because Chuck Schumer said Donald Trump made a mistake. He should kick Vance off the ticket and pick a new VP. That's how you know Vance was a great pick. All the right people hate him. That kid right there, I believe, in his hands, his name is Vivek. So he has a kid who's half Indian named Vivek. But sure, he doesn't want black kids or brown kids. He just wants white kids, according to your NBC analyst. God, these people are just shameless. And then she got so barraged. She locked down her Twitter account. She blocked everybody who tweeted about her, and just, she can't take it. She comes up with that idiotic take and can't take the blowback. These people are pathetic. But speaking of pathetic, there he is. I was wondering, where's Joe Biden? The Middle East is on fire. Venezuelans, on fire. We got all kinds of things going on around the world, and we don't have a president. This is so insane at this point in time. We don't have a president, and we need one soon. It's just, what a time to be alive. All right, that will do it for today, this last day of July. I hate when July ends. Just always, when I was a kid, it used to bum me out. It's almost like, feels like school's about to start. July's over.
Exactly.
Football's about to start. That's good, but I'm not done with summer. We need some good final month of summer here. But that'll do it. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Ironette. I'm Jerry Callahan.